With track reconstructions, you get to understand how great music is actually made, and in my opinion, that plays a key role in becoming a better producer. In today's video, I'll walk you through the reconstruction of an old school house track, focusing on its more stripped down, club-friendly version. Let's get into it. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So the track I reconstructed is called When You Love Someone by Daphne. Let's check a few bits of the track. Start from the beginning of the original track. And then my track. Let's play a bit further, original one. I let you judge how close is my reconstruction to the original song. Let me know your thoughts in the comment. The track was produced by Tenaglia and Daou, and if I know, of course, who Tenaglia is, I didn't know about Daou, but I found out on Discogs he was the in-house engineer and keyboardist of New Groove Records. The fun fact is that he then became a political activist and an advisor for Hillary Clinton, and that tells you that today you're a musician, tomorrow you never know. So before starting with the walkthrough, I want to spend a couple of words about reconstructions. I think track or style reconstructions are important because it helps to push yourself to learn how things were made by that artist or how things are made to make that specific style. So understanding what are the typical samples of that style, what are the drum machines, the synthesizers that were used, the techniques that were typical or that are used in that specific track. And even when you don't understand and you're not sure what was the technique or the synth, you find an alternative way to create a close sound to that sound that you heard. This project I made, I'm not sure that all of the samples I chose are the same that the original artist chose, but they are close to that sound. And now I learned that if I want to achieve that specific sound, I need to use a specific set of samples. You can do track reconstructions, you can do also simply reconstruction of some specific elements from a track, just maybe the groove, the bass line, and this will help you learn something new. All of these things that you learn go in your bag of knowledge that then you can use in your own tracks. And it's not just about learning to make music, but also about building your own signature sound. I guess the backbone of this track, other than the bass line, of course, which is always important in music, is this tom that creates the groove of the track since the beginning. Let's check it out on the original track. This is what made me fall in love with the song when I first heard it on a podcast. It's a very strong statement. So this is my version of it. It's a tom from the 626 drum. It's not exactly the same of the original song, but it's close to that, and I'm quite happy with it. The delay that I used is this delay where I have the two sides unlinked, and one is on the 5th and one is on the 4th, and it sounds like this. So when it creates this game left and right, and the pattern takes, of course, 3 higher notes and then one is lower. And together with a kick. The kick is also another thing that I want to mention because I made the kick with Kick 3 by Sonic Academy, but actually I didn't make the kick from scratch. I extracted it from the original track. Kick 3, the new version, has this way where you can import a song, isolate the kick and sample it. As you can see, it's very close to the original. And I can show you how it works. You can import in the plugin the song, And then it tells you load a click file, analyze. I'm gonna analyze the track. Why it's so small. And then you see I'm gonna isolate just the initial part of the track. Probably the kick that is cleaner is this one here, because there's a crash. And there we go. Analyze and import. It's gonna divide your kick in one part that is made with the internal synthesizer of kick 3, which generates the sub frequencies, and the click, which is taken from the original sample. So if I'm gonna press and play this kick, it sounds like this. Okay, so you still have some parts of the original song, so you just have to shape a little bit the click. And now it sounds tight and punchy. It's a technique that I've seen from Club Edit made a video for minimal improvements that you can find if you join the community. The link is in the description. And now I use it a lot of times when I find a very nice kick in some tracks that I like. So the initial groove is just a kick, tom, and then a hi-hat loop that I have in the background. This nice acoustic drum loop that I found in my library. And on top of it, I placed this hi-hat, which later on I layer with the 606 hi-hat, very typical of old school house music. But in this way, I managed to achieve a thicker sound, which gives more energy. Of course, I have also some snares. Also here, I did some layering. I took one snare that is very short and layered it with another one, which has a broader sound and more present. So let's check the drums. Oops. So it's, I think it's quite close. Then we have the bassline, which in my opinion is the next most important element in the track. Let's check it out. I made the bassline with a sample. It sounds like this. This is exactly the same pattern that you have in the original one. This is from the pack, Ableton pack called Synth Essentials. If you go inside here on samples, you find different synthesizers that are all sampled, and this is the 0-hour bass. You find different notes, and this is one of them. I moved the starting point a little bit further because I thought that the initial part of the sample was a bit too wobbly in the pitch. This is the initial part. I prefer this. It's a bit more stable. Also, usually I don't use this steep cut, but in this case I thought it was sounding a little bit out of control without this cut. Now it's sounding a bit different with the cut. The bass sound was quite stereo. Didn't want to make it fully mono. I just closed down a little bit the width with the utility. Also in the mix, sounds much better if you play the bass line here instead of here. The next element that comes in the track is this piano here. So let's check it in the original. My technique to find out chords is by listening, so by ear. I try different options until I found the best, the closest option to the chord that I'm hearing. Sometimes I also analyze the harmonics in the song with an EQ and go and try to look where are the main harmonics. Sometimes it works, sometimes of course having a full track it's a bit confused anyway, but still this helped me to come up with these chords. I used an Ableton preset called the Woolly Soft Piano, so it's an electric piano, and some effects on it to dirty up the sound a little bit because it was a bit too clean. So erosion is adding that white noise. Then this warm ensemble, making it stereo and vibrating a bit. And then also I added a little bit of vibrato to move a little bit the pitch of the sound. If I exaggerate, it becomes like this. So it's just a little bit. So let's check together. Check the original one. Next song, we have the different hats and percussions that are happening through the track. Basically, the track doesn't change much since the beginning, if not for a few more loops on the top end that are coming in. So the first one is this triangle loop that you can hear. Then we have a ride that comes in the track. That this is it. Let's check the difference from before and after. Which I made like this. And last thing that comes in on the top end is the 16th hi-hat. Until now we just had this one, but now a more, let's say, electronic one comes in. I used this hat here, sounding like this in the track. There's not much more, and I can tell you, if you check the whole track, there's not much more that comes in and out. These elements are those who are used for arranging the track. And in this way, they managed to build quite of a long track. I think it's around 8 minutes, a little bit less. And it's all happening by alternating these hats and percussions, and then a little bit of a break from the kick just here in the final part of the song. The last musical element instead is this xylophone or mallet that you can hear in the track. Let's check the original. It's kind of a lot on the background. I think mine is a bit more up front. And again, this together with the piano goes on and off through the whole track. This is another preset from Ableton, Dream Cycle. I switched off this step divider that was on in the preset. I didn't need that. The last thing are the effects. It's very simple in terms of effect. They are always the same, repeating. It's a crash you can hear since the beginning. Okay, every 8 measures. So I have a crash here. And then there is this sound here, which I managed to go pretty close to that, and pretty quickly actually found a loop. It's very, very similar. The loop is like this, is much longer. Switch off the delays so I can show you. I just took the first part and put 2 delays on it. The first one is very short. And the second one is the one that makes it move left and right. Because I think it's pretty much the same on the original track. It's not exactly the same again, but this is where I leave it, you know, when I say, okay, I found what it is. It could be a slightly different reverb preset. It could be this, it could be that, but the main elements, those things that really were teaching me something, I managed to make. Now it's all about finding a slightly different sample or a slightly different preset. I really like this break here. I don't know why they put it so further in the track, but in case you wonder, what do I put on my drum bus? Just a glue compressor. I get this question a lot of time. What do you do to glue together kick and bass, to glue together the drums? It's just about setting the right volumes, to me at least. Putting a glue compressor on the drums and the bass, it's simple as it is. I even forgot to put a compressor on the bass line to do the sidechain, but that's what I usually do. I sidechain the bass line to the kick. I don't put the bass line on a group together with the kick. My kick is together with all the other drums. The bass line is on its own, and I only have a compressor that do sidechain. So yeah, this is the track. If you're interested in studying this project, in having the project, you find it on Minimal Improvements until the end of July, then it expires. So hurry up if you want the project. The link to Minimal Improvements is in the description. I hope I have reached some new house heads in the community with this video. In case you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.